6:30. Kenji, are you ready? Excellent, thumbs up. We're gonna call this meeting to order. This is the Oshtemo Charter Township Joint Board Meeting for Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. And oversight on my part, but I'm gonna invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So this meeting is a little bit different than traditional regular board meetings. It's a joint meeting where different members of the formal bodies of the township gather together to share updates. So there is no action items tonight. There is an opportunity for public comment, though. So we will start, and why don't we do a round table? Al, do you want to start? And if you would just tell us who you are and what entities you are affiliated with.
Mal Smith, I'm on the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'm Ron Verplank with the Planning Commission.
Denny Patzer on SODA and Friends of the Park.
Rick Everett on ZBA.
Zach Pearson, Township Public Works Department Project Manager.
Jody Saporia, Oshtemo Township Planning Department.
Kristen Cole, trustee.
Neil Sikora, trustee.
Zach.
And Friends of the Park, sorry.
Oh.
Zach Ford, trustee.
Dusty Farmer, clerk.
Jim Porter, Township Attorney.
Harry Jackham, ZBA and Board of Review.
Sherry Bell, Township Supervisor.
Claire Bruschka, Township Treasurer.
Okay, I think we got everyone. I am going to make a little update to, since we have Harry here with the Board of Review, if you might share a few words about what the board, when we get to updates.
Okay.
Share a few words about what happened at the Board of the Review, because that is actually a statutory board. First, we'll do public official and community partner updates. Is anyone from Oshtemo Historical Society with us wishing to make any updates? Okay. I don't see any public officials, so we can move on. And this takes us to item 4, which is an opportunity for public comment. So if you have anything you wish to share, the podium is active. We're only streaming on PMN tonight. We don't have a Zoom option, but you're more than welcome to provide public comment up to 4 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Katie Schneider, and I want to say thank you for serving Oshtemo Township. There's thousands of families that depend on the decisions that come from these tables, and that responsibility matters. So thank you. Some of you prepare, you read the packets, and you speak with intention, and residents appreciate that. We truly do. Others read the motion, say aye, and you move on. And that's a choice that you can make. I'm asking, what does your vote actually represent? Because let's be honest on how this works. Nothing comes out of this office and into your packet without a background. There's a PR department shaping narratives, while meeting minutes, the official record, lack detail. So here's a good question. Why were counts of public opposition removed from the minutes? Who decided that? How is that improving transparency? One of the values in your packets. And let's talk about what's actually happening here in Oshtemo Township. There's a 260 megawatt battery energy storage system that is already in motion. The land is leased. The infrastructure work is being pushed through this office quietly, behind the scenes, at all different levels. All while holding up the moratorium like a curtain. And now we're being told that a workable, incompatible ordinance is coming to protect residents. Workable for the developer to work this into our backyards. Incompatible because the setbacks are not exactly the same as the MPSC. Like decibel levels and an extra 100 feet. Those aren't protections. Have any of you stood on those 8 adjacent parcels and looked at how the homes will sit next to this industrial project? Have you talked one-on-one with those families at all? How many of you have read the health impacts tied to this level of constant noise or off-gassing, especially for children, like mine, right next door? Let's talk about what's really driving this forward. Closed sessions. Attorney-led recommendations behind doors. Speakers being brought in with juried questions only. So I'm going to ask, why are decisions that impact thousands of residents being discussed behind closed doors? Why does it take attorney intervention every time there's an effort to bring more transparency or scrutiny, like several trustees and planning commission members have suggested and asked for? This project stands on its own merit. Why does it need to be managed this way? That's not how other projects were managed. Because where residents are sitting, it doesn't look like the bus is being driven by the community that will be impacted. It's the developers and a chosen few. Money has already been admitted to be a fuel, or should we call it community benefits? The drivers have already shut the door on many of you up here at the tables and residents, and the destination sure seems predetermined. We've seen this pattern before. Look back at the power lines and the substation. So here's the question all of you need to answer tonight, please. What are the real impacts to the community? To the boards and groups that you serve? To your roads? To your family? To your utility bills? All of you live here too. We will see you at your children's baseball games. We will see you with your grandchildren at the schools. We will see you at the grocery stores. You live here with all of us. And when the next project comes that will go with the batteries, like data centers that generally go with batteries,
1 minute, Katie.
what exactly will you say then? Will you have a say? Have you already given it up? With towns around the U.S. discovering municipal employees with LLCs getting their cut after projects move in, then now would be a really good time for you to question your role in all of this. You earn the seats that you are sitting in. It's time to come clean already. Residents have had enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present wishing to make public comment?
Thank you. My name is Andrea Lundgren. I'm an Oshtemo resident here. A couple things. Read the newsletter. My editor background went through with my red pen, caught some errors in here. When a big mistake is the family festival, the dates are wrong on here, so that needs to be corrected.
Are you talking about the music in the parks?
Nope, the Oshtemo Family Festival here.
Okay, thank you.
Typically, it's Thursday through Sunday, but the dates show Friday through Monday. Second item is, a couple months back, I applied for one of the openings on the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals, and had an interview with Supervisor Bell. And my question or suggestion is a new process for the interview. My husband applied for a position with the board with the county, and their process is for applicants to turn in an application, and then they do their interview with the entire board, and the entire board gets to ask questions. I think that would be more open and transparent. Just a suggestion.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make public comment?
Danita DeBryan, I live on L Avenue. The couple meetings ago at the planning commission, there was a suggestion that we have a committee formed just to talk about options, and that was quickly shut down. The members of that commission didn't even get an opportunity to discuss it. They didn't even have a chance to say, hey, wait a minute, let's think about it. It was just shut down. The following meeting, there was a closed door session. Public comment was before all of that. We were left to surmise that during that closed door session, there had to be discussion about BES because they'd been asked to have an update. They'd been asked, give us an update of timing. And afterwards, Planning Director Seforia came out and had a long spiel, which I couldn't hear most of it from where I was sitting. But not a single person had a question for her. They didn't even discuss anything that she brought forth that was happening about BES. And that is like the biggest thing in this community right now. We're all scared to death. And all of those kinds of actions make us very suspicious that, what are we doing here? Is it done? Is it all figured out already? Are we just chasing the tail of the dog for no reason? Because if that's the case, just let us stay home on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Just tell us what's going on. We need to know and we deserve to know, because we live here. It's our future. It's our property values, which, should that go in, I would assume all of our values will be reassessed and we will not be paying the taxes that we pay right now. Because our property value is gonna plummet, having that in our backyard. So there's a lot of things to think about here, but most of it is, let's work together. If you truly are telling us you don't want this here, then let's work together. Let's not have it be you and us against each other. Let's do this as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Janita. Anyone else wishing to make public comment this evening? Welcome.
Sorry, moving a little slow today. My name is Josh, a resident of Oshtemo. I'm listening to like the live streams of the battery storage, like residents coming and voicing their concerns, and I understand where you guys are coming from, but so many of the complaints seem to come down to, we're scared of it and our house price is going to go down. And that's fine, but the board is here for the entire community of 20-something thousand people. If a handful of people are scared of the project, okay, but they have to think about the entire community. And one of the frustrating things, I don't think anybody's ever mentioned, there's already one here. There's already one in Oshtemo. It has been for years. And nothing bad has happened because it was done right. Doesn't mean we can't scrutinize the companies and make sure that they're doing correctly, but it's not scary, it's not, doom and gloom. There's ways to do it right. It's been done all over the country. We don't have to be scared of it, we just have to be smart. That's it. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make public comment this evening? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment, and we're going to move right into our board updates. Tonight we have with us our project manager of Public Works, Zach. Your last name just went right out of me. Pearson, thank you, Mr. Pearson.
Young for that.
Oh, no, I'm not. If you could share what's going on in Public Works.
Sure. I have some updates on a few select projects.
I'll start with the one that I think has the most anticipated completion date of any of them, which is KL Avenue, the bridge replacement project. So that is a Michigan Department of Transportation project. They're moving into what they call stage 4, which is the wrap up now. So they are replacing sanitary sewer and storm sewer under KL, rebuilding that road, and then they have to construct some retaining walls. And they're also doing a small segment of our non-motorized trail that will run under that alongside their project. That is expected to wrap up and reopen on June 12th. So we will be able to navigate the township a little better coming soon. Next, I wanted to update on the Phase 2 sanitary sewer expansion. We are opening bids tomorrow. There will be a bid opening here at the Township Hall that is at 3 p.m. Based on those bids, then we will do a conditional award of the project on April 14th. And then we'll be coordinating bond closing between 2 different entities. So we are now bonding with USDA and Kalamazoo County. So those are gonna be fairly close to each other, and then that will allow us to kick off construction probably late May and early June. But we'll be sending out information on community meetings so that all of those residents in the project areas will be able to come in, meet the contractor and ask questions and get familiar with the process. So more to come still on that. We have the H Avenue non-motorized path, so this will connect from Drake Road to the west along the south side of H Avenue. If you can follow along with that direction, we're going over to the Westport development, which is a Visser construction project. So we are finalizing some design tweaks now. We have all of our permits with the road commission, and we obtained all of our right-of-way that we needed for that project. And then we're hoping to tag along with their construction so that we can get some, hopefully, savings on working with their contractor for paving and them directly with excavating. So hoping to partner there with the community member. The 9th Street sidewalk, this is another one that has just now started. I'm sure if you've gone down 9th Street, you've noticed a little bit of the backups there. That lane shift down to where southbound is going into the center lane is gonna be removed once tree removals are done. So that will be wrapping up soon. They're working on tree removals through the end of this week and I think a part of next. So it'll go down to just a shoulder closure there, so traffic will get somewhat back to normal. Brenner Excavation is our contractor for that project. They're gonna be mobilizing kind of in earnest the week of the 13th to begin some excavation and earthwork there. And then we'll begin concrete in mid-May, and that'll continue through early June. And that project is expected to be wrapped up June 26th is scheduled for final completion. So we'll have that new segment of sidewalk that connects from Stadium Drive all along 9th Street up to Quail Run. So that will be a good key connector for our network. And then lastly, I just wanted to give a quick update on Drake Road non-motorized path. That project is from KL Avenue to Stadium. That has been in the works for a number of years. We've had some challenges there, but we are currently waiting for Amtrak to complete an at-grade crossing over the railroad tracks. They requested an extension through the MDOT office of the rail, so they have now until September 1st to complete that work.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that date?
September 1st.
Okay, that's progress on
Yeah.
that one then.
Yeah, so some progress there even in the last couple weeks with them. Unfortunately, timeline-wise, I think that pushes us into construction for next year. We had already, in anticipation of some difficulties with Amtrak, requested a conditional commitment for fiscal year '27 for that grant, and that was granted. So we, in the meantime, are working on final design tweaks and obtaining right-of-way. That was pushed back a little bit because we had to do an archaeological survey to determine if there was any historical sites there that is a potential for Native American mound. So that was identified. We completed that survey and it was cleared, and that allows us to then finish those other next steps. So that will be wrapping up through the end of this year, and then we'll be planning for construction into next year. So those are the major projects we wanted to touch on. Thanks, Zach.
Wow, we might actually get that path down the rest of the way on Drake Road yet, huh?
Yes.
In our lifetime.
Yeah. That project's like been on hold for what, 4 years or 5 years or something?
Yeah, I think even a little longer than that. The planning for it definitely predates my time with the township, by a few years, so.
Sure, I've been on the committee since it's formed, and I didn't have white hair or gray.
Oh, really? For soda? It's a lot.
And it's the same holdup.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
been there.
Well, Attorney Porter, we position the township in a better position to leverage the courts if necessary in order to push Amtrak, and the city along with the township was able to get some traction, it sounds like, and an actual date, so that's good. Cool. Thank you, Zach. Next, we'll go to our Public Works Department. Ms. DeForia, if you wanna,
Planning Commission.
Planning department.
We know what
yeah, I guess,
The Oshtemo 2045 Comprehensive Plan and Master Streets Plan cleared the Planning Commission hurdle of public hearing earlier this month. It's been a long month, it's the 31st. It'll be in front of the Township Board on April 14th for your consideration of adopting by resolution. And we have presenters from Progressive to carry it across the finish line, those two planning documents. On January 22nd, we were supposed to host some individuals to speak to Public Act 233, which is the energy systems state law that took away local control over site plan approval of facilities of a certain size, essentially utility scale. And so we have speakers coming to talk about Public Act 233 and some of the other considerations. We've invited the county to come. They were coming in January. We had to cancel it in January because of snow. Our speakers were coming from Ann Arbor and Lansing, and it was not safe to ask them to come in that worsening weather to present on the topic, so that got kicked to April. If it weren't still winter, I would have loved to have them come back sooner, but I didn't want to reschedule it to February or early March and have to cancel it again. So they're coming next Thursday night to speak about Public Act 233 and some related issues. They're not scientists, they're gonna speak to the law and the law and how communities are applying that act and deciding how they wanna treat those industrial land uses that the state legislature has said can go in a residential or agricultural district if they so want. May 14th, we're kicking off that zoning audit. Township Board approved a contract with Progressive AE to take a hard look at our zoning ordinance and essentially overhaul it to start towards implementing the comprehensive plan. And the kickoff will be with a speaker from the Michigan Association of Planning, walking us through the zoning reform toolkit. A bunch of great minds in the state with some grant funds a few years ago put together this toolkit, mostly to look at how are you getting in your own way for getting some housing that people can afford to live in, because the cost of housing is so high these days, just construction alone. So like, what can you do in your zoning ordinance to maybe remove some of those hurdles or barriers, or why do you have a 250-foot lot width, just as an example? I mean, is there a real reason for that makes it a lot more expensive, then you're gonna have to put a more expensive home on it? So that's the big emphasis of the zoning reform we're going to do, but there are other areas of the ordinance that need to be addressed with this review. We are gonna look at the entire ordinance, and it will take all of 26, and it'll probably be next year's joint meeting in the first quarter where we are at the final draft stages with the work, which we're gonna introduce incrementally throughout the year. We're not gonna come to the planning commission or the township board with a whole bunch of recommendations. We're gonna work through them at the planning commission level, maybe a chapter or two at a time. We are working internally right now on an energy systems ordinance. I know the big concern is a BES because that's who's sniffing around on Van Cal Avenue, but we also have to address wind and solar to be comprehensive, and we already have language in the ordinance about large-scale wind and solar, but we're gonna consolidate it all into one section, probably called energy systems, and so there'll be energy storage, wind energy and solar energy addressed in this ordinance, and it's pretty lengthy. I mean, it was 26 pages last week. I've continued to add provisions to it through research and looking at MPSC's large booklet of applicant requirements, and so we're at 28 pages and growing, and we will suggest to the planning commission when the draft makes it there that very specific requirements be in an appendix that we're copying from MPSC, like their sound report, pre-construction, post-construction, sound modeling, and other requirements that the MPSC has in their rules that we want to incorporate into our ordinance. And we're bringing a scientific expert on board to give us even stronger language to put in the ordinance about what is best practice, because best practice in other countries is better than best practices in this country where we're reactive, and so we've learned the bar is much higher in other countries, so we're looking for expert input to tighten up our ordinance and make it as workable but protective as possible. And we feel that if we have a really strong ordinance based on scientific input from people knowledgeable about the chemistry, that we are more likely to prevail. If a developer decides our ordinance isn't workable and they go right to the MPSC for approval, we feel our ordinance has a better chance of being enforced and followed, however that might play out, because it's not based on hysteria or emotion, it's based on science. And also, we're continuing to do research behind the scenes. So we're in a data center moratorium, we're in a battery energy, well, all energy system, there's a specific to BES. We might be in a BES moratorium, a data center moratorium. We're doing work behind the scenes to craft the BES ordinance, but also to continue to do research and start fleshing out what an ordinance for data centers is, what it looks like, and we don't even know if we'll I was gonna say, we don't know if we have to allow it, but Michigan law says that in the presence of known demand for land use, you can't ban it. So, I mean, that's kind of how you only have so many strip clubs in your county, because you're like, all right, we've met demand, we don't have to allow a strip club in this township. But for other land uses, when there's a known demand for them, you have to allow them. So you have to write the language, which is what we're going to do. And that's kind of a planning commission update.
Thank you. I'd also, before we move on, since you talked about planning commission, there's a place for people to put questions on the website for the upcoming speakers. There was a deadline put for today, but we're gonna extend that, so if people want to submit questions in advance, that opportunity will still be available through probably next Monday. And then the other thing that is we added to the township website on the battery energy storage page, tentative timeline about how things are going to advance through the process. So you at least have a place to go and refer to know what Jody and her team are thinking in the planning commission about how things are going to advance. So you can use that as a reference as well. The process is far from over. As a matter of fact, I'd almost say we kind of only have just gotten started into the, I mean, Jody's been working on the ordinance for a while, but as far as bringing in outside experts and professionals, I think we're just getting to that point, so. There's no formed ordinance in closed session that's gone anywhere. I don't know how else to, there's no there's no ordinance that's been worked on in closed session that just hasn't happened. So, I'll keep saying it, and hopefully as the process continues that you can begin to trust what's being put out from the township for your consumption and input. Okay, next we have some planning commissioners here before we move forward. Do any of the planning commissioners want to add anything to?
Nope.
No, thank you.
Jody and her staff are doing a great job.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
I guess I'm the one that's gonna do that one too,
Well, Jody will give a brief update and then you can chime in after that.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that when they met this week, an unusual case to do an interpretation, and that's your job. If there's anything in the ordinance that isn't clear, then we take it zoning ordinance to the Zoning Board of Appeals for an interpretation. And so we had an instance where on Tuesday, was it this week? No, last week, last Tuesday, today's Tuesday. They interpreted this provision of the ordinance called nonprofit educational, nonprofit recreational, and nonprofit business centers. They are a use allowed with conditions in our rural residential district. And we had a proposed land use that we weren't sure at a staff level, we didn't want to make the call if it fit under this use, which is not defined in our ordinance. So we realized after taking it to Zoning Board of Appeals, as is the applicant's right to ask, that we need to work on that provision. So when we do this whole zoning audit I was talking about, I think we'll try to define that more and narrow it up, because we wouldn't want it to be misused. I think it was really written for the Fetzer Institute when it was crafted back in the day, because they fit all that. Anything else, Harry?
No, that's,
Yeah.
I just was gonna give an update that we only meet about, 3-4 times a year anyway. There's the planning commission, and I've been on a zoning board in another community for many years. They do a job and try to come up with good zoning ordinance, and there's always something that just doesn't quite fit in, and that's basically the job of the ZBA, to look at it and say, can we tweak at least your instance? That's about it.
And it's unusual in this township that the Zoning Board of Appeals conducts site plan review for permitted uses. In any other community, that's done by the Planning Commission, but since at least the 80s in Oshtemo, it's been done by the Zoning Board of Appeals, because the Planning Commission has just always been so busy with other stuff that these permitted uses go right to that board for review.
And the Downtown Development Authority.
We are working with Consumers Energy. It's a long time to deal with that agency, to try to double up on the banners. So all those poles that have a single banner, most of them are eligible to put a second banner up, like there's no guy wires or any other infrastructure on the pole. So we're just working through with Consumers Energy. We had an approval from like 2002 that they can't find a copy of, so we have to start over. So they're making us start over with all the poles that already have banners on them, and then the additional banners we want to add to the program, and then the existing poles where we want to add a second banner. So we're getting so close. I think David Cobb and I are going to start looking at banners in a catalog this week to see for spring and summer which banners we want to run by the DDA for their blessing to order. Working with Mr. Pearson here to hopefully get some street lights on South 9th Street that is also delayed by Consumers Energy. But that's something the DDA board would like to do. They recognize it's quite dark south of Stadium along 9th Street, and they would like to get some street lights up in that area. It's part of their boundary. And then last year, they expanded the grant program, and initially started as just a facade grant program, and then some board members like, well, you know, we could improve some streetscape, signs, landscaping, should be an eligible item for a business or property owner. And then they most recently expanded it for security cameras. So if they meet certain requirements that would be useful to the sheriff's department, they can get some grant funds to help pay for adding security cameras to the outside of their building. That's it for DDA, and I don't see anyone here from the DDA.
Nope.
Except yourself, Supervisor Bell.
Oh, yeah, yes, but I don't have anything to add. Okay, South Drake, Corridor Improvement Authority.
This board doesn't have a huge revenue capture, and they spend most of it paying the township back annually $40,000 towards the path that's already built on Drake Road from KL to West Main. That's within their boundary, and they just most recently created a grant program because we have some businesses along Drake Road that would like to add security cameras, so we're wanting to just expand the opportunity to apply for a grant to those businesses. We'll be sending a letter out to those owners soon to let them know that it's a 50-50 match up to $5,000, so not a huge amount of money, but could help.
Here's a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The interest in security cameras, is that similar to what the sheriff's department has worked with some of the higher crime incident areas, that encouraging people to take more ownership of their property, to monitor what's going on and be more involved? Is that kind of the same concept?
These are on private property.
Yeah.
Yes, private property, yes.
Yeah, they would be private property. I reached out to the sheriff's department, like, what specs would you want for the cameras? But there has to be adequate lighting too, which are some amendments are coming to the township board, could have mentioned, from the planning commission about increasing the lighting allowed, because some of our apartments, it's so dim that even if they had security cameras, there wouldn't be enough lighting to get useful images. But we're also having to work some changes into the general ordinance so we can kind of force the hand of some of those older apartment complexes that don't want to upgrade. It's for the safety of the residents, not because we want more lighting or to be heavy-handed with the businesses, but it's a crime consideration.
Danny, anything else on soda that you want to share?
No, just piggybacking on what Zach reported about get the path finished and the trail. And then the last meeting when Jody presented about this grant opportunity, I think the committee was pretty excited or supportive, because then these property owners, just like the DDA, can apply for cameras or street improvements in front of their business or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's another nice thing for this committee to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in process though, so it might not be kind of like the path, it'll be 2027.
Oh, well, we'll get letters out to
Give
people.
letters out, but
Yeah,
it
we'll
probably
see.
won't get awarded till the fall or into the winter.
Yeah.
But it's still all great.
I believe we've updated and streamlined the DDA grant process, right? That one's,
With both, they'll just apply through the
Okay.
planning department and we'll put it on the next agenda, but,
okay,
you know, SOTA only meets 4 times a year, DDA meets every other month.
right. So that timing
That's why I thought
too.
it'd be delayed, because we
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
get that often.
Okay, next Oshtemo Friends of the Park, and I believe that's you, Mr. Patzer.
Okay, the first item is the music in the park and the concerts that are listed in the recent township brochure. Has two of the dates are wrong. The first date is correct, so it'll kick off just fine on June 28th. But then the next newsletter will have the little bit of change on concert number 2 and 3. okay? But you're on the committee and you know the groups.
Yes.
Do you wanna comment about the bands?
Well, the first band is In the Gray, which is a local band. I think they do mostly covers, but stuff that's very recognizable and I guess inclusive of, someone's gonna recognize it, no matter what generation you are.
They have a good following.
Yeah, they have they all have a very good following. In July, we're having Blueback, which is more, started out as a blues band. It's also a local group. And they play a variety, but a lot of like blues and older, I don't wanna say older music, it's cause it's blues.
Some
Yeah.
jazz like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, I see them all the time, so it's like I know what they're playing. And then in August, we have Zion Lion, which has played before, which is, I think they're more like, what? Reggae, yeah,
They're
that
fun.
kind of,
They're fun.
but very high energy also. And we've had them play before, and another good following. They play local, or you can see them downtown or out or around. You may have already seen them once, so you know that they're a great draw.
One point of emphasis is that the time to start has been moved to 6:30.
Correct.
Instead of 6 p.m. It's been pretty hot in the sun and so forth, and we think 6:30 to 8 will be better for the audience when they are there, and the sun's not in the eyes of the bands and everything. So we're trying that, and at least on one of the concerts, there will be like a little refreshment cart or truck, We tried that at one of the dedications here at the Township, and it went over pretty well, so we're gonna try that too. Just other items I would say for the park, Friends of the Park, is for the Fruit Belt Trail, the benches that are in process now. There are 9 benches that are being constructed, and then they can have nameplates on them from donors, et cetera.
Are these the ones that Bruce made? The benches?
They're the new ones he's making from the wood that was recaptured from the Drake farmstead.
Really cool.
That's what he's working on now.
Well, I think he should get a plaque on one bench at least.
Have we started selling those plaques?
Not that I'm aware of.
Going to be?
Going to be, I thought I saw some notice about it, but
But we do sell plaques for benches in the parks.
Right.
But I don't know whether we've
these.
Yeah.
allocated or made a system for these ones on the trail.
Yeah, Bruce does a lot of good work, woodworking on the other benches, et cetera, and help the Boy Scouts and
But all volunteer,
all volunteer,
all volunteer.
which would be my final little piece of the report, is the volunteer groups for Friends of the Park seem to just continue to grow. The group that Dave Waltz runs pretty much, I mean, Vanessa is the director, but they're getting more and more people from the Nature Center and the Historical Society, working every couple weeks during the spring, summer, and fall at really all the parks, but they've been kind of focusing on Flesher, Drake Farmstead. There's a lot of work to do that on the invasive species, removing that, and David cut that path through the nature area out there on Croydon, and that got used even by some cross-country kids and other people. And then Dave's wife ran a nature walk that had pretty high attendance, a few dozen people, and that went over real well. So those are just 3 or 4 of the things from Friends of the Park that are still in motion.
Yeah, there's some real opportunity for us in parks programming and continuing to build the volunteer base. Everyone's done a really great job.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's not technically Friends of the Park, but I could throw in a couple more things about parks.
You're gonna get an
Oh,
opportunity to.
okay. I did,
Yep.
that's fine, I'll do it later.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and Harry, do you mind saying a couple words about board of review?
Board of review, and honestly, I didn't even know exactly what it was till I got on, but the board of review basically is set up by a state statute. And by and large, it's there for people to come in with questions and complaints about their taxes, is what it comes down to. We had quite a large group of people come in this year with appeals on their taxes, and honestly, it's a good thing. I'm glad to see people taking time to look at what's going on. And in most cases, it was either about a class change to lower their taxes, possibly, well, everybody thinks their house is worth more than it is until tax time. Now, going in another direction, but by and large, most of the questions came up, well, why is my tax so high? And in most cases, remember with Proposal A, which was that 94, I think it was?
Yes.
About 94, taxes can only go up the lower of the rate of inflation or 5%, and this year it was at the rate of inflation, which was 2.7. A lot of folks got confused if they buy a new home and they don't understand what's called uncapping, which means if you got a house for 20 years and it might be worth up here, but your taxable value is down here, well, when somebody buys that house, now their taxable value comes up to the value of the house. By and large, it was a good year, and I don't know, is there any other questions? I was writing down some notes because I didn't come prepared to say
Yeah,
anything.
no, when I saw you, I was like, oh, shoot, we don't have board of review on there, but we'll fix that for the future.
And, yeah, it was a good year. I mean, basically, we had a lot of folks that were willing to look at, and a few people came away happy and some didn't. And basically, I was happy, and that's how I ended up on the, because I appealed several years ago, and that's the way it is.
That's funny, I didn't know that's how you got involved.
Yeah, I knew Libby, and she decided I should be here too.
Okay, next we'll move to Township Board updates, and let's see. Ms. Cole, do you have anything you want to share?
I don't have any updates. I do have a question. I guess I'm just confused at one of the announcements that was made by Jody, and I just am curious. You said that we're working, I believe that's what I heard, we're working on an ordinance regarding the energy systems to bring to the planning commission, and who is the we? I guess I'm trying to understand, is the experts being brought in? Because there's been no communication that has at least trickled down to the board on this, and.
Well, we're working on it internally and then be sending it out for expert input on the science, the areas where we need best practice recommendations from experts in the science and then the chemistry. So some of it's very boring zoning stuff. We're getting all that in place and then beefing it up with copying a lot of the language of the MPSC's application requirements. So if a developer sidestepped us and went right to Lansing, they have their own application requirements, which are extensive, and we're working in as much as that makes sense.
So will the board have an opportunity to hear from the expert or experts, or?
We haven't fleshed all that out yet. How that's
You can
gonna
certainly
play
watch
out.
the planning commission meetings while they're gonna be presenting.
I do. I just didn't know, so next Thursday is some experts that are being presented.
Yeah, but they're only speaking on the act. They're not coming in to be a proponent or opponent of battery energy storage systems or solar or wind. They're just speaking to the act and our options, which we all know, but it's a good box to check. For some planning commissioners, our newer ones might not be that familiar with the act.
I mean, I'm not trying to stir a hornet's nest. I just think this is another example that we could do better communicating amongst ourselves, because.
I want to give an example. If we wrote a new ordinance to ban parking on certain streets, I just whatever, okay? That gets vetted, you know, the ideas might come from the board or the public about what kinds of ordinance we wanna see, but that all gets vetted internally, organized through planning and legal, and then it will go to the planning commission, who will review the ordinance and talk through it, and then it will go to the township board, where we will review the ordinance and talk through it. So it is not unusual. I think that the anxiety of people who are fearful is we are saying things and we are sharing information. But the ordinance isn't gonna come out for digest until it's in a more fair, or more complete state. If we, I mean, I just think if every time Jody starts drafting an ordinance on something and we put it on the planning commission, at first, it just doesn't go that way.
I understand how the process works, but this is just a completely different animal, this ordinance. I mean, it's obviously something that has been discussed in depth and has been caused some friction even against board. So I just, again, this is not parking ordinance.
I think you can, yeah, but see, I'm gonna disagree with that. I mean, I respect your position, but the minute we start treating and doing a different process for this ordinance, then we set a precedent that, you know, there could be a different segment of the community that is opposed to an ordinance, and so then we have to then we shift the process for that one. I just, you know, there is a process, and you know, we can keep talking about it. We are talking about it. We are putting out information on the website continually so that people can have expectations. Jody gave a pretty good update at the planning commission meeting. I'm sorry to hear that you couldn't hear that. It's good information. But it's I don't think because it's a passionate topic in our community that we should change the way we do things.
But it's a passionate topic amongst the Oshtemo Township Board, in my opinion. So, I mean, I apologize, I'm not trying to start any kind of, I guess, back and forth or negativity, but that's just how I feel.
No, I wasn't aware, the board wasn't aware of what was going on. I thought the board knew.
I don't believe the board knew that any decisions had been made in any one direction, so again.
Well, no
that's-
decisions have been made, we're still drafting the ordinance.
Right. And
The
that's
decision to
something
seek
that
outside expert input, I knew the board was aware of.
Absolutely.
Right, okay. More to come, I guess.
Neil?
Sure, thank you. I'll just follow up a couple things on the parks. The Fruit Belt Rail Trail should be done in about 8 weeks, from the last thing I saw. Weather, everything else, consumers and whatever, not causing trouble. There's no Amtrak going through there, so we don't have to worry about that. They've already started the trail surfacing project. Parking lots at Erie Street and 6th Street should be completed within the next 2 weeks. And then we'll move on to installation of fencing and signage. And Fletcher Field, we're replacing one piece of playground equipment. It's broken, it's going to be broken if it isn't already. There's no repair parts, and so we're gonna replace that with something that's called a sensory wall that's more inclusive, that has music, social interaction, and sensory play. And we had planned on doing that, and we also, Parks Director Street was able to get a grant from the M Parks Foundation that is helping to pay for that. Expensive playground equipment is very expensive. So I wanted to throw those two things out about parks. And then I'm also working with our maintenance director, Greg Fountain, and we met with a landscape designer to work on the flagpole area that's just out here. If you're driving down West Main, You probably don't even see the flags because the trees, you know, were not the best trees to be chosen. So we're working on a project to fix that whole area, take down a couple of the trees so that the visibility is there from West Main, because you shouldn't be blocking the flags. And then redesign the area around it with the goal of making it a usable space. Hopefully, will be done before July 4th, since this is the 250th anniversary of the country. So we can have a small celebration or dedication ceremony around that time. And then we also hope to expand it eventually, that maybe we can make a larger gathering space out here for other events, like maybe holiday tree lighting, or, you know, some other things that are going on. Because when there's a door, if you didn't know, there's a door right there that allows you to go out there. So it's a space that we can access, have events or gathering, whatever, and then we can come back in here and have, you know, whatever, you know, if it's winter time, you have cocoa and cider or whatever kind of thing. So that would be kind of like a test run for doing the flagpole thing first. And that's all I have for now. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. I don't know if did I tell you? We sketched out a timeline to try to get that installed by July 4th, and it's gonna be a humdinger,
We'll do it.
but it is in process. Anything else before I move on? No? All right, Mr. Ford?
No committee updates. It was nice to be here at the township last night with the 70 degrees or so weather. The community was out, park was packed back here. Every
All day.
facility was in full use, disc golf, trails, tennis, racket, pickleball, basketball. And the reason I brought this up was for Vanessa, if she's listening, it's time for another basketball court at Township Hall. Every day that the weather is pleasant, they got kids stacked up there waiting to play. So, put it on the plan. That's it though.
Double check to see if that's in the master plan for
Yeah,
that
I can't
park
remember
already.
either.
I can't
I remember we
remember.
had talked about it for Flesher Field, and I'm just, I come here a lot more frequently, and they're starting to stack up.
I think
so.
they're scheduled to get resurfaced this summer, but I don't think there's plans to add another
Yeah, I'm not even
court.
sure if we've got the footprint over there for it or not, but just something to start thinking about, because they are popular.
Okay. Dusty?
So we do have an election on May 5th. Kay Risa has an item on the ballot, and then Madawan also has an item on the ballot. If you're on the permanent ballot list, you should have received your ballot this week. If not, certainly contact our office. I have hired three new election workers, which is a very good thing. We're gonna bulk up our absentee ballot program. And as a reminder to this board, we consolidated 2 precincts and we moved precinct 9 out of here so that this room could become the absentee board center, basically. For a number of reasons, we need everyone in the same space, but then also there's an added benefit that we have plenty of room for the public to be able to watch, because that was something we encountered in 2024. We had public that wanted to view the absentee counting board, but the way we are split up in the office, there was no place to really establish a public area so that someone could stand there and view all the spaces at the same time. So this will solve that problem as well. As always, if you want to join the permanent ballot list, which is often a very good reminder that there even is an election, when your ballot shows up in your mailbox, you can do that online at michigan.gov/vote, or you can do it by calling our office. And that's all I have.
So I have a fun fact to share with you. My daughter is stationed overseas in Germany right now. I'm sure you've all heard me yammer on about that relentlessly. But there's a new program for military, people serving in the military overseas, that they can vote electronically absentee. And so I sent my daughter the application today, so she's gonna be the first, I don't wanna say test dummy, but you know, she's gonna be the first tester of the new opportunity for the military who are overseas to vote absentee, which I was glad I didn't have to send her ballot to Germany, so that made it a lot easier, but
Nice.
So Melissa, we decided she was good, or no, Carrie and I, she would be first, so.
Nice.
If you have family who are stationed overseas, it's a good thing to share that they can do that. Treasurer.
Just normal process stuff. We settled with the county for our tax collection 2 weeks ago. We completed our pre-audit last week. And I believe we have our regular audit scheduled for some point. I don't think we got confirmation of the date, but in April. So checks to the county entities, fire, police, township, et cetera, will be issued in April, and then we should be getting the delinquent tax checks from the county at the end of the month. And then we start again when I pull it back in May. That's all I have.
Rolling. Hold on, I gotta find my little list. Here we go. E, F, G, H, okay. So there's lots going on at the township. First and foremost, for the township board members, the public, and committee members, Oshtemo Charter Township has its own accountant on staff, and this has been years in the making. And I sang in the office all last week because I was so excited. It is going to greatly improve our ability to share information with the public. It's going to greatly improve the productivity of our department heads who will have somebody to help them. It will, my productivity, Dusty's, treasurer, so pretty excited about filling that position. Reminding all that April 7th, I believe at 4 p.m., Oshtemo Charter Township and the Road Commission of Kalamazoo County are having a joint meeting. I sent our topics off to the managing director, and once the agenda is ready, we'll get that pushed out. So they're not used to those. If you've watched a road commission meeting, they're pretty not a lot of chat going on in those meetings. So just trying to make sure we don't try to do too much in the first meeting.
You're asking us to reel it in for the road commission?
I'm just saying,
Use that.
the agenda.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I just think this is such a great direction for us. And, you know, let's say there's 6 agenda items, but we may only get to 3 of them.
That's
Like,
fair.
you know what I'm saying?
We can always have another meeting with them.
That is correct.
If we have-
Last Friday, I went to the authority board meeting for the youth sports complex. Not a lot of dialogue at that meeting around, they didn't share any new site plans per se, as far as, but talked through some design. This was really around advertising and how to attract people to come use the facility. Interesting question that I certainly didn't think of is that at capacity, that building will be at 2,500 people. And they are looking for a plan, they're working on a plan for if there's a tornado. And I mean, that's a lot of people in one place if there's a significant weather event. So the Road Commission of Kalamazoo County, Jody, correct me if I'm wrong, gave tentative approval for the road design for the extension on Maple Hill that will include on-street parking. But it's not done yet, but it's,
Well, they granted the design exception to allow on-street, so
yeah.
it's close.
But we still don't have the traffic study back yet. And so I'm patiently waiting to see if that's going to have, that traffic study is gonna have any design impacts. The April 14th board meeting is going to be lengthy. David and I went through it today already. I might not even accept any more agenda items at this point, so Just you're forewarned is forearmed. I went to a great, continuing education on capital improvement planning. So David and I are gonna go through the information I brought back, formalize a process internal with the staff. It was 3 hours away, and when I was driving there, I was like, this is really a long way to go, but I was so glad I went. I really learned a lot, so it was very good. And I'm happy to bring that back to the township board and improve our capital improvement process. It's audit time at Township Hall, so Dusty, I get one little interview or whatever. Dusty and the treasurer get all the work on the audit, so that's good. We will begin our budget work in earnest in June. So I'm gonna start having meetings around AGVs and talking about capital projects and early budgeting pretty soon with department heads. And lastly, our board retreat is scheduled. It took 475 emails and dates, but we got them there. Those 2 dates will go out. They are available to the public. They are planned to be here at Township Hall. The first date is April 16th? Yes, the first date is April 16th from 8:30 to 12:30. And the second date is May 7th from 8:30 to 12:30. And so with that, that concludes my updates. Thank you all for coming, and I'll see you in a couple weeks or sooner. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.